improves your quality as a Muslim. So, when it's time to enter Al-Jannah, it would be called upon people, you know, so and so people. Fattah, enter from Bab al-Sawm. You know, Fairuz, enter from Bab al-Salah. So and so people, you know, so and so person, enter from this door and that door. Are there people who get called upon from all of the 8 doors? Prophet Muhammad Abu Bakr Siddiq asked Prophet Muhammad this question, and he said to him, yes, and I hope that you will be one of those people, Abu Bakr. It means that go wherever you want in Al-Jannah. From one door, you're going to a specific place. But when all of the 8 doors are open, meaning go wherever you want. Alright, now we are ready to enter Al-Jannah, but Al-Jannah is a different place. It's a special place. The things that are in Al-Jannah require us to have a different body, a different nature, in order to enjoy that extraordinary, huge happiness. The happiness which is in Al-Jannah, you know, we cannot, I mean, our human hearts will not be able to withstand it. We will just die. If somebody opens up one of those, you know, enjoyments in Al-Jannah, and you look at it with your own human eyes, you will just, your heart will not be able to withstand that. That's why it is said, and this is something that will make women happy. It is said that when the mu'min, you know, looks at his wife in Al-Jannah, if he was looking at her beauty, with his own human nature, he would just die. You know, her beauty would be something, you know, it would require a person of Al-Jannah, a special creation, to be able to tolerate that beauty. We continue, inshallah, and I would like to remind that the title of our talk that we had already started several sessions ago, it is The Journey of the Believer to the Hereafter, and now we have started already to talk about Al-Jannah. So where we ended before the break, we said that now we are ready to enter Al-Jannah, but the enjoyments of Al-Jannah are far, far bigger than what our human heart and human body can tolerate. So we have to have a different body that can actually withstand that enjoyment. So before we enter Al-Jannah, there are 2 springs. One spring, we drink from it. It purifies our inner selves. It purifies our inner selves. It purifies your mind, your conscience, your thinking. You cannot hate anymore. You become a person who does not know hate. You become a person who cannot have jealousy. So, women cannot have jealousy, for example. Men cannot have anger, or cannot become angry, or cannot become hateful, or people cannot have any negative characteristic at all. You cannot think of something which is inappropriate. You cannot, your mind or heart cannot wish for something which is indecent. Your mind or heart cannot, we know that when you enter Al-Jannah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us that we will get everything we hope for. Every wish we make, we are going to get. But our new making and at that time, it would just not, we would not be able to wish for something which is inappropriate, something filthy, something haram, something sinful. You just don't wish for anything like that. It's because, I mean, the reason I stressed here that because when I was preparing for this subject, I got into the YouTube to see what people say, and And you hear, you look at certain comments by non-Muslims who would say, look at those Muslims, they say that a Muslim can get anything he wishes for when he is in Al-Jannah. What if he wishes for this bad thing and that bad thing and that bad thing? This means that Al-Jannah is a place for, as much sins as you want. This is crazy. I mean, this is just people who want to play smart. This is people who want to insist on their ignorance and to insist on their disbelief, on their lack of knowledge. And those are people who are not really searching for the truth. They are not searching for the truth. In Al-Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا تأثيما إلا قيلا سلاما سلاما. In Al-Jannah, people of Al-Jannah do not hear any useless talk, any vain talk, any idle talk, any backbiting, or even any call to sin or any wish to sin, or they only hear salam, peace, peace, peace. So when we drink from the first fountain, or or lake, or whatever you call it, we purify our inner selves. We become people of Al-Jannah from our inner selves. But now our body has to change. So there is another fountain that we immerse ourselves in. When we come out having the shape of our people of Al-Jannah. How will we look like, men and women? عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: يدخل أهل الجنة الجنة جردا مردا بيضا جعادا مكحلين أبناء 33 وهم على خلق آدم 60 ذراعا في عرض 7 أذرع. Abu Hurairah narrated that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, the people of Al-Jannah enter Jordan, meaning that there is no hair on their bodies. For example, the men will not have hair on their chests or hair under the arm or whatever like that. There will be no hair on the bodies. Murdan, meaning that the men would also not have beards. The men will not have beards. The men will be beardless. Bidan, they will be white. Their skin will be white. Ji'adan, it is stated to mean that their face will be nice and healthy looking, bright and young and healthy looking. Mukahhalin, when you look at them, there is a natural their eyes are naturally eye-lined. We see people putting black eye lining around their eyes, particularly women, in order to look more beautiful. In Al-Jannah, men and women will be naturally eye-lined. أبناء 33, we will be at the age of 33. Looking, وهم على خلق آدم, we will be like our father Adam. 60 ذراعا في عرض 7 أذرع. 60 arms length tall. 60 arms length tall. The scholars estimated an arm's length at like 55 centimeters, which means that we will be like 32.5 meters tall. Like if you look at those ordinary buildings, like a 9-story building or a 10-story building, something like that. And in one of the hadiths, it says that the shoulders will be 7 arms length, close to 4 meters. And another hadith mentions that when men enter Al-Jannah, they will be at the appearance, they will be having a beauty like the degree of the beauty of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. The degree of the beauty will be like Prophet Yusuf. This is when we enter Al-Jannah. And we all know that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the story of Al-Mi'raj. He said that I saw my brother Yusuf يقول رأيت أخي يوسف وقد أوتي شطر الحسن. When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to the journey of Al-Mi'raj, he said, I saw my brother Yusuf, and he had been given half of the beauty. Meaning that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created something called beauty, He gave half of it to Prophet Yusuf, and the other half He distributed for all, to all of the men and women, etc., from Adam until the Day of Judgment. And we can understand now that in Surah Yusuf, in the chapter of Yusuf, when the wife of the Prime Minister asked Prophet Yusuf, who used to be her servant, to enter the place where her lady friends were gathering, before she permitted Prophet Yusuf to enter, she gave them plates with fruits and knives to use for cutting the fruits. And as they were cutting the fruits, she said to Prophet Yusuf, enter. He was her servant, he couldn't refuse, so he entered to serve or something. And as they looked at him and they were cutting the fruits, they start, Al-Quran says, فَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنَّ, that they started to cut their hands, without even feeling it. And the word in the Quran, قَطَّعْنَ, there is difference between قَطَّعْنَ, when you stress on the second letter, ta, قَطَّعْنَ, and قَطَعْنَ, without stressing. When you say it, قَطَعْنَ, without stressing, it means that you just cut once. But when you say قَطَّعْنَ and you stress on it, meaning that back and forth, back and forth. Somebody can say, how realistic is this? How could somebody, be looking, and then there is a knife going back and forth on the hand, and the hand is bleeding, and they were not even feeling it. I give you an example. Have you not heard some people who would say, I had a car accident, and the hit was really so violent that, after the accident, people said, you're okay? He said, yes, alhamdulillah, I'm okay, I'm feeling fine. And then when I go home, I started to feel a pain. And I checked my leg, I found that there was a wound in my leg, and that my leg was already bleeding. I didn't even feel that. And we know that. It happens. Why is that? Because the shock of the accident, it makes your mind concentrate more on the shock itself than the pain of the wound. And then later on, when the impact of the shock is gone, the pain of the wound started to come in. And this is how they were actually cutting their hands. Cutting their hands, not meaning that their hands were chopped off, that they were just bleeding themselves, cutting their skin out of astonishment. And I would like to make you all happy here that you are going to have that handsomeness, inshallah, when you enter Al-Jannah. That will be also happy news for our wives. So if one of us is bald, or is having a big belly, or short, please, tolerate us. A few more years only. Please, just only tolerate us. I'm bald myself. I always use that to convince my wife to tolerate me, Just a few more years, and I will be a lot more handsome, inshallah, in Al-Jannah. And that would be only when we enter Al-Jannah. And then we would be, men and women, continuously more and more beautiful forever. Always. Alright, so when we enter Al-Jannah, now what I would like to mention is that Al-Quran, if you look at Al-Quran, when it comes to description of beauty, it just my understanding is that it just lightly touched upon the handsomeness of men, and even the hadiths. But look at the description of the beauty of women, al-hur al-ayn, women in Al-Jannah. Al-Quran, look at Al-Quran, it's full of description for the beauty of women in Al-Jannah. And the hadiths of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that elaborate so much about the beauty of women in Al-Jannah